Well, welcome everybody into another show. We are actually both live from Omaha now, as I haven't made it today. Got in this afternoon just in time to see Texas wave goodbye to Omaha on the way out after a tough beat down from Texas A&M. By the way, just in case as we get started here, if you guys can hear any background noise, that's because Chris is at the baseball stadium, and it's just sounds of the game, part of it. Just exciting stuff as the fans are getting into the game. Some very nice crowds already this week, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. Omaha's it's been a blast. I can't say enough about the experience. Coming into it, I had really really high hopes of what I would feel and emotionally when I got here. It was just amazing, and just I got to park in a parking lot right near the stadium to get my press credentials. And I walk up and I see this big sign that says "Welcome to the Men's College World Series." So just some really cool feelings. And then I came to the early game on Friday, kind of the tail end of it, as I drove into town, and just to walk around the stadium and think about all the cool things that that people don't get to experience. So I really would, even though we're going to be here for a long time, I hope. It's really a cool experience. I really would encourage anybody that gets the opportunity to come up here to do so, because it will be an experience that you will remember for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I'm so stoked to be here. This is my first time getting to experience Omaha, same as you, I believe. And it's already been a blast. I didn't stay too long today, travel day today. And with Ole Miss not playing, I was kind of getting the feel for the land. But, man, it is so awesome being in that stadium and knowing I am actually at the Men's College World Series in Omaha. It's just incredible. The festivities around the stadium are awesome. The fans are into it. There's a lot of them. And of course, the Jello shot challenge is in full force over at Rocco's. Arkansas fans running away with it right now, but Ole Miss fans not far behind. Just all the things that go along with Omaha that you just experience in the past just on social media and on TV. Getting to see all this stuff in person and all the festivities is just really incredible. And I'm like you. I can't say enough about how happy I am to be here.
Quick note about the Rocco's Jello Shot Challenge. One of the reporters asked each player this morning about if they knew about the challenge and what they thought about the challenge and things like that. I believe it was Peyton Chatagnier said, well, it's a really good, smart business decision. So it shows you how smart Peyton is. And then I believe it was TJ and Dunhurst both said they ended their answer to that question with, well, Ole Miss has never lost a party. So I think it's game on from this point in time. But obviously a smart business opportunity for that guy. That place is right across the street from the stadium. So I can only assume that number is going to continue to climb throughout the week.
Well, before we get into the pre-cap show for real, I would like to say a huge welcome to the two names that you see on the bottom of your screen. We are thrilled to bring on a couple of sponsors with the Rebel Walk now. As you see, Remax of Orange Beach and Dead Soxy. I'm sure you all are familiar with Dead Soxy for sure, but Remax, and you guys are familiar with at Lee at the Beach on Twitter. She's a huge follower of the Rebel Walk, a huge supporter of Ole Miss athletics, and that is her company. She is a realtor down on the Alabama Gulf Coast, Perrito Key, Florida, Orange Beach area. Buying a home in those areas is always a big decision. It's going to be tough. And she is there to help you get through that every step of the way. And we are super excited to have her on board along with Remax as a sponsor. Just a few things that Lee has earned as a realtor: CRS, CDPE, CLHMS, ePro, SRS, RSPS, broker's license, licensed in Alabama and Florida. The list goes on and on for Lee. So be sure and reach out to her if you have any home buying needs in those areas. I know some of you probably have vacation homes or different places that you go. Some Ole Miss fans, you probably live down there in that area. So if you're ever in the market for a home, you can email her at lee@gulfcoastlee.com or 251-975-3340. And that is how to get a hold of her. And I know that she would be very excited to have your business. And you can go to leemcpherson.com as well. That is MCPHERSON, leemcpherson.com. We'll talk about Dead Soxy in a little bit as well, as we're super excited to have them on board, and we'll go into them a little bit later. But first of all, Chris, before we get into Arkansas tomorrow, there was a big game for Ole Miss on Saturday night, and it turned out to be a good one. Of course, an SEC West foe, Ole Miss had beaten them 2 out of 3 times already in the season, but they were using a pitcher that we did not face back then in Joseph Gonzalez, and Ole Miss jumped on him early and never looked back.
Yeah, that's the word I was going to use, is jumped on him early. So, put up 3 runs in the first 3 innings. That was really huge. Kemp had the huge base hit in the first inning, and then Graham with that home run to left field in the 3rd inning. And that was a ball that I watched live. And to be honest, off the bat, I didn't know if it was going to go or not. And the fielder just kept drifting back and back and back and back. And sure enough, it went over the wall. He had a shot at it, though. It didn't clear the fence by very much. So, really fortunate with that it managed to get over. And then Dylan DeLucia. I mean, what more can we say about Dylan DeLucia? We've talked a lot about Dylan on this show, but good golly moly, on the biggest stage possible, outside of, possibly if we get to next weekend, he absolutely dominated. I don't believe he allowed a hit until the 5th inning, something like that. So just a extremely dominant performance. 8 innings, 8 pitches. He threw 114 pitches and went 7 2/3, and then only scattered 4 hits in the 1 run in the 7th. So it was really a dominant performance from Dylan.
Yeah, and to your point about the Kevin Graham homer and Auburn having a shot at it, my goodness, did they run into the wall a lot in that game. We saw 3 Auburn players, actually it was 2 Auburn players, one of them just did it twice, run into the wall. One of them literally looked like he may have snapped his neck on the wall. It was a very scary play over there at third base. Thankfully, they were okay. But my goodness, they were sacrificing it all. You don't leave anything on the field in Omaha, and they certainly did not do that as far as their fielders were concerned. But for Dylan, my goodness, 14 consecutive retired to start the game. And then we talked about it after the Super Regional going into in our Omaha preview show. Dylan had 3 straight hits to start the 7th inning, gives up the run there. Auburn's on the board 5-1. Bianco comes out to have a talk with him. And you think, okay, Malice is in the bullpen. Are they going to go ahead and bring him in? I thought it was the right move to leave him in there. And you've got the confidence in your starter. You've got your confidence in the guy that got you there. And Dylan, what does he do? He turns around and gets 3 straight outs right after that mound visit. Boom, boom, boom. And Ole Miss retains the 4-run lead. And that was the last time Auburn threatened in a game.
Yeah, and then Mounts, coming in and just shutting the door. Only faced 3 batters, so that was really cool. The pick play from Dunhurst to Elko was, I think, a big point in the game to get off the field, obviously for Mallets, and not allow any runs, or really he didn't get anybody faced. So he did not get the save, obviously, because it wasn't a save opportunity with a 4-run lead. But, just ate the outs. And that's what you have to do right now, is eat the outs. This term has changed a little bit. So they've decreased the number of days off for teams. And I think it's a smart move to give fans the opportunity to not be as in the local economy. And I don't mean that from a negative capacity, but it is really expensive to come to Omaha. And so to provide an opportunity for fans for a little bit more of a truncated experience, I think is good for the fans and good for the players.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's certainly not cheap to buy tickets to each session on top of, getting here, travel, staying somewhere, whatever the case may be. So, yeah, I do like that format as well. And honestly, it's probably better. Obviously, if you use a lot of pitching, it might suck for you. But if your pitching is doing what Ole Miss pitching is doing right now, and you just use 2 pitchers again, and everybody's still fresh going into game 2 against Arkansas, then I think you don't mind having not having as many days off, because you don't have to sit around. You still got a little bit of momentum from the win that you got. You watch a couple games today, and the winners bracket games going on right now. Oklahoma's up 2-0 early, and you get to turn right back around and play again tomorrow night, and everybody's going to be chomping at the bit to get out there. I know Hunter is definitely like, okay, I got a big performance to follow after what Dylan did, but those two have been a 1-2 punch. Man, Hunter's not going to be scared of the moment at all. And just what these guys have done, they're the only undefeated team remaining in the postseason. Not that necessarily means anything, but now you've got another foe that you've seen a couple of times. You kind of know what they bring to the table to an extent. Now, they put up 17 runs on Stanford, so they got an offense clicking right now too. But, I mean, I think that Ole Miss right now we've talked about it all the time. They're playing as well as anybody.
They are, and I think that it's the team chemistry, and it's this business trip mentality that Mike talked about it pre-game or pre-practice today, is that the players know this is a business trip. And so we've also talked about that a lot. Just the overall mentality of the team it's a pretty serious mentality, even when they get asked fun questions, and I do appreciate fun questions from reporters, but they're they're it's a trip for them where they have a definite goal in mind, and that's not to leave here on Tuesday. It's to continue to play it well into next weekend.
100%. And they did. And the key in the Auburn game, besides Dylan, was they did not let Sonny D beat him. And Dylan went right at him. We talked about pitching around him. Dylan didn't care. He went right at him. They did not let him beat them. He got one hit in the game. It was a single, I believe. And that was the only hit that he got. And he did not do any damage. And we continue to talk about it over and over again. Don't let the one guy or the two guys, whatever the case may be the ones to beat you. If somebody's going to beat you, let it be somebody else. And they continue to do it. And again, the way that Mike has managed the pitching staff and the way the pitching staff has performed against these top-notch hitters, it has been flawless. It's been absolutely flawless.
Couldn't agree more. I'm anxious to see how Hunter reacts to. It's the biggest crowd they've ever played it in front of, all of them, because none of our guys have played the College World Series before. Arkansas obviously did in 2019 when they beat us to go to the Super Regional, and they fell short last year. So I think it's a pretty even matchup experience-wise. Obviously, they've got a few guys that have played before, but I think that after the first game, all that kind of goes away, and it's not let's look up in the stands and you're a little awestruck and everything else like that. I think it's okay. This is we played that first game, we won, and so now we're in our second game and we're just playing baseball now.
I just pulled a Chris. Look at there. I forgot to unmute my mic. But yeah, absolutely. And they're not going to be afraid of the moment. And before we go into the real preview show, I will go ahead and talk to you guys. You guys all know them. They've been supporters of the Rebel Walk. You guys all follow Dead Soxy, and you might know them particularly because they make some pretty darn cool socks. Chris, you probably have a few pair already of Dead Soxy socks. And in particular, there's going to be one I'm going to throw up on your screen in just a minute that you guys are going to recognize. You're probably going to remember this guy. He's a pretty famous quarterback from the last couple of years for Ole Miss. And here it is right here. You're going to recognize the guy in this photo is Mr. Matt Corral. And they have Matt Corral socks, Chris. I mean, you can't get much better than that. You can find those and a whole lot more great options at deadsoxy.com. Comfortable, quality, but also not too expensive. And Chris, I don't know if you're wearing your Dead Soxy socks right now, but I mean, I'm all about good quality clothes that also don't cost you your entire paycheck.
I am. I do have a pair with me here at Omaha. I'll probably bust them out later in the week. But they're really cool socks, and it really gives you an opportunity to not only be comfortable, but to support Ole Miss and show your fandom in a kind of a fun way. I've got one pair that says we run the SIP, and then I believe the other pair is a clipboard flying through the air. As we all remember, Lane Kiffin launching the clipboard into the air. So some cool socks that they have. I do believe they even have a number 25 sock out there. So if you're interested in getting some Tim Elko style socks, I'm sure that'd be really cool as well.
Yeah, they've got some really awesome designs for Ole Miss fans. You would definitely love to check those out. Go to deadsoxy.com. And if you want a little bit of a discount on that, by the way, you can use the code RebelWalk for 35% off. So just throwing that out there. You can get quality clothes at an even lesser price just by following the Rebel Walk and using the code RebelWalk at checkout. Go check them out at deadsoxy.com. You can follow them on Twitter at deadsoxy and use the code RebelWalk for 35% off. But now to the business of the weekend, which is Ole Miss trying to go 2-0 in Omaha with another SEC West opponent who they already saw this year, obviously, in Arkansas. Now, they lost 2 out of 3 in this series, contrary to what happened in Auburn, but all 3 games were winnable in Fayetteville. And in the game that Hunter Elliott pitched, and he will be pitching tomorrow, he left the game with the game tied at 3 after another great performance. It was still one of his first starts of the year. And unfortunately, the bullpen wasn't able to hold it down, and a 3-run walk-off bomb for Arkansas gave him the win in Hunter's game. But that 6-3 score did not reflect what Hunter did in that game at all. And I think that he has grown a lot since that game as well. and he's an even better pitcher now than what he was in his first couple of starts.
Yeah, I think the Arkansas series was a big turning point for the guys. So following the Arkansas series, I believe we were 11, 7-14. I believe that was rock bottom for the team. And obviously we've seen a huge bounce since that point in time. So I don't put a whole lot of weight in the Arkansas series. Obviously there's a lot of scouting and tape that they can watch on what their pitchers did with our hitters, which I think is more valuable than just watching tape and thinking about what you can do, but actually seeing what your pitchers did against their hitters and everything else like that. If I recall correctly, Tim didn't have a really great series that weekend, and so I'm sure he's got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder because of that.
Oh, absolutely. And the way, you look at his last outing, what we saw in Hattiesburg, the guy was phenomenal. And he's going to be carrying that in with him to Omaha. Again, you used a great analogy in our preview show about you measure the distance from the mound to the plate. It's the same, just like the Hoosiers movie where they talk about measuring the line from the free throw line to the rim and the height of the rim and all that stuff. So I think, okay, they've gotten their one game out of the way. They've gotten their kind of starstruck under the lights moment, and they took care of business when they needed to. Now it's like, okay, we're here to stay. What do we have to do to get 2-0 and avoid that extra game and get straight into that really good part where you have to be beaten twice right before the championship series to get knocked out of here. And I think Hunter's going to be ready for that. Now, Arkansas hasn't announced a starter yet. It's probably going to be either Hagen Smith or Jackson Wiggins. I presume it will be Smith. I don't know that for sure yet. But Hagen he has 6-2 and a 4.85 ERA in 72 innings pitched. He has 82 strikeouts to 42 walks. So not a huge strikeout to walk ratio, but he's their next guy down. They already used Noland. That's big that Connor Noland's done. He pitched 7.2 innings in that win against Stanford. And honestly, I'm surprised they left him in that long with a gigantic lead like that and didn't save him a little bit. But then again, it's just like DeLucia last night. He pitched 114 pitches. You're not worried about that. You're worried about getting the win. So I feel like we'll probably see Hagen Smith. I keep wanting to call him Hayden Smith, but it's Hagen Smith. But no official announcement on that yet. But either way, I think Hunter Elliott matches up really well with whoever comes out there.
I do too. I think that just the maturity of our lineup, and we've talked about that, is a really measured approach. And I think it's any number of guys who can step up to the plate and do something really, really cool at really any given moment. And, look at, the 2 through 5 guys obviously are our four most potent parts of the offense. But even when we get down to 6, 7, 8, 9, you look at Dunhurst, you look at TJ, you look at Peyton, you look at I'm missing somebody, but you look at all of those guys, and it's really a very talented lineup that, the little engine that could is Peyton Chatagnier, right? And he's had 10 or 11 home runs on the year already. And so I'm not calling a shot that he's going to put it out here tomorrow, but it wouldn't surprise me either if he takes one down the line and is able to do that. And that's just the nature of our lineup. There's really nobody that at any given time doesn't have the ability to do that.
Yeah, and obviously a lot of it for Peyton in particular, who doesn't have a ton of pop unless he just really catches one. But the wind is a factor in Omaha, obviously. It's if it's blowing in or blowing out is a big factor. Last night it was blowing into dead center, which is why that Gonzalez ball that all the Ole Miss fans initially thought was going to go deeper than it did early in that first inning last night. It died in center field. If the wind's blowing in, it's a bigger ballpark. You're not going to hit them out in the dead center. But then Kevin Graham got the opposite benefit of that, of going oppo taco to left field and using that wind to his advantage and being able to put one out. So I think Chatagnier is certainly capable of hitting one out. And at some point you feel like he's got to. Obviously I want to see a Tim Elko home run. This is Omaha. It would be only fitting if Elko cranks one out of here while for the one time he will play in Omaha as an Ole Miss Rebel. And then obviously still hoping for the Ben Van Cleve. I don't know if we'll see the Ben Van Cleve, but for sure we got to have one from Elko while we're here. I don't think Elko will care if he hits a home run as long as they win the national championship, but I'd love to see the Elko home run.
Yeah, I think given the choice, Tim chooses the Natty over the home run 100,000 times over 100,000. Harris was the other guy that I missed when I was talking about the the bottom part of the lineup. But like I said, I think that really anybody has got a good ability to hit and to hit for power at any given time. So you're right though. The wind probably will play a factor in not where, but how the ballpark plays. TD Ameritrade, you're not putting one out to center. I don't think there's been a ball hit to center this week yet. So it's really, really tough, but getting them into the bullpens is, I'm not going to say easy, but it's able to be done.
Yeah, and their bullpen is solid. I mean, Arkansas's got a very solid bullpen, but again, nobody has intimidated the Rebels batting order like you were just talking about a minute ago. So I don't chase the starter and you're golden. Just get a few runs on the board, and Hunter and Josh Mallitz and Brandon Johnson. I don't think that you're not getting back in that game. I don't think we're going to see what we saw in the first Arkansas series where they're going to blow the lead late just because the bullpen wasn't super set yet and they weren't very solid back at that early part of the season. I think if Hunter gets a lead, then as long as he just doesn't make some bad pitches, which we haven't seen, then there's no reason to think that he won't keep the lead. Arkansas doesn't have that one guy that you're looking for to not let beat you. They have 4 players that have at least 10 home runs. Caden Wallace has 16. Jalen Battles has 10. Braden Webb and Brady Slavens each have 15. Caden Wallace leads them in RBIs. Brady Slavens is right behind him. As far as average is concerned, Chris Lanzilli, the leadoff guy, obviously at 324, leads them in average, 9 homers for him as well. He's got a couple of grand slams that have come up big for them as well in some games. So they've got a very solid offensive lineup. But honestly, it's not so much the offense for Arkansas that I really pay attention to. You just don't want to. You don't want ground balls against Arkansas because that infield that they have is just insane. If Robert Moore or Jalen Battles get a chance to turn a double play, 99.9% of the time you're not getting on base.
Yeah, I think they turned a sick one against us. I think it was the grounder to their second baseman, and I don't remember his name. Moore. Yeah, it is. And he, went deep in the hole and was able to do some sort of weird jump turn and start the double play. And it was, I as a baseball fan, I tip my hat when a young man young men make great defensive plays, because that's really what it's all about. And it's different up here because there are fans from every fan base and other fan bases that aren't even here that are attending these games, and so they know how to appreciate good baseball, and so it's different than playing at Baum Walker or Swayze for that matter. So it's a little bit different feel, but you can definitely hear the fans of the team that has momentum when they have momentum. But it's a really cool feeling in sight to see the other fans just respect the game so much.
Yeah, it absolutely. I mean, Omaha, like you talked about that, the fan bases in particular, about the fans here at Omaha, it's not like a normal home game or a road game, although you could say the Ole Miss game was a home game with the amount of fans they had. But the fans here are just here to see good baseball. I mean, I was on the plane this afternoon with a guy who didn't even have a team here, but he was just coming to Omaha to watch the baseball because he likes good baseball. I mean, it's just so many people here that just enjoy good baseball. And these are the 8 best teams in the country that are playing here at this point. So, I mean, I think that we're going to see the environment, though, tomorrow night, my goodness. Arkansas and Ole Miss have the biggest contingents here out of all the teams. It is going to be a madhouse tomorrow night.
Yes. It's going to be insane. I am excited to see it. I think it's going to be a really cool TV theater for the folks that tune in on TV that maybe aren't Arkansas fans or aren't Ole Miss fans. Obviously, the ones that are Ole Miss fans or Arkansas fans are going to be equally as entertained. But it's really it's going to be a good grow the game kind of atmosphere for people that if they watch the game tomorrow, they're going to be like, wow. And I hope it's a close game or Ole Miss blowout, but we'll go with a close Ole Miss victory. But I want people to look at this and say, this is a lot of fun, and I need to go to I need to check out Arkansas, or I need to check out what Starkville has to offer, or what A&M has to offer, or what LSU has to offer, and support some of these, blue blood programs, but also, go to your other local college or university and support those teams as well, because East Carolina, Cliff Godwin at East Carolina has built a monster out there as far as crowd engagement and things like that. If you can build it, I don't know all that much about East Carolina, but I imagine if you can build an environment like that in Greenville, North Carolina, you can build a crowd environment pretty much anywhere in the country if you have the desire to do so. And that's the important part, is you've got to invest in the community from a coaching perspective, and not just look at, oh, well, I'm here to coach 27 to 35 men in the sport of baseball. No, look at how to engage the community. And Dave Van Horn, Mike Bianco, Jim Schlossnagle, Butch Thompson at Auburn, they all know these things, and the investment in facilities that we've seen from SEC schools is incredible. And I think that LSU is going to invest a little bit more in their facility with Jay Johnson there. So, but again, it's going to be a grow the game kind of game, I hope, and I obviously hope the Rebs come out on top.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And both the head coach for Texas and Jim Schlossnagle this afternoon talked about they think this is the golden age of college baseball. But because and events like this are what helped that happen. And you look at just the amount of fans that are here and the amount of coverage it's getting, and then you throw in the fact that coming up, when they increase the amount of scholarships that's coming with the lower rounds of MLB draft, you're going to have better players coming to college or staying in college. One thing that, Schlossnagle mentioned this afternoon is you've got guys like Ivan Melendez for Texas. He was complimenting the Texas players, and you've got guys, for him, like Troy Claunch, who is a stellar college baseball player. You get more scholarships to get more players like that to come play college baseball and increase the viewership of college baseball, and it causes then in turn the schools to invest in the facilities more and invest in the teams more. College baseball is going to be on the map like it's never been before. And you're here, we're here in Omaha. This is like the mecca right now of college baseball, and it will always be the mecca of college baseball because it's the biggest. It's the finals. But if you look at what Oxford gets and the SEC stadiums get on a regular weekend, and then you look at, like you said, Cliff Godwin, that environment was insane up there in the jungle. If we can get that around the country, man, it's going to be so much fun because, yeah, I'm an Ole Miss guy, but I love watching good college baseball around the country, just in general. And I hope we get it in the Pac-12. I hope we get it in the Mountain West. I hope we get it, in the Big East, whatever the case may be, because good baseball is fun. And there's nothing more fun than what we're experiencing right here, right now.
Yeah, outside of Ole Miss baseball, if you were to offer me a ticket to go to Baum Walker or to Alex Box and see Arkansas and LSU square off, I would absolutely make that trip all the time. A&M's another cool environment that is, if you've got two good teams and Jim's got things going the right way, two great baseball teams squared off on the course of the weekend, it's just going to be a fun atmosphere for everybody. So those of the Ole Miss fans that are watching, I would encourage y'all to branch out a little bit. And if you can get tickets to go to some of these away series, do it, because they're cool environments everywhere in the conference. So take advantage of that. The other thing I was going to mention about the Arkansas game tomorrow is this game it's got some importance, not just the fact that you go 2-0, but if you don't go 2-0, then you're going to have to win 3 straight games, I think, in 3 days. So I think that it may be even 4 in 4 days. I think it's 4 in 4 days, actually. So it's going to be 3 or 4. Friday's a day off, so it's only 3. But it's 3 games in 3 days, and so it's a little bit tougher. And so the difference between going 2-0 versus losing your first game and winning your second game, or vice versa, is negligible. So it's really important that we handle business tomorrow night.
Oh, absolutely. You definitely don't want, because tomorrow, as you mentioned, is like for A&M, for instance, tomorrow's their last day off. And then whoever loses tomorrow's games, that's it. You are done resting at that point. And for Ole Miss's pitching staff in particular, you've got Dylan and you've got Hunter. Well, after that, you've got to really make some critical decisions on who you're going to pitch if you're facing those games where you've got to keep winning or go home, because you can't continue. You don't want to waste all your pitching, but you also can't lose again, because you lose twice, you're done. So you don't want to have to make those decisions if you're Bianco or the coaching staff. So yeah, Ole Miss would certainly like to go ahead and take care of business tomorrow. But Arkansas feels the same way, and they're going to bring everything they've got tomorrow. It's going to be a great game. I don't see it being a blowout for either team, although I would like it to be an Ole Miss blowout. I certainly don't see that happening. This has the feel to me of like, we saw that 6-3 game on the walk-off. This has the feel of like a 4-3, 5-3 type of game to me.
So name your score, because I had one in mind, and you may or may not have already covered one of those scores up. So go ahead and name your score first, since you threw it out there.
Well, I'm going to say Ole Miss 5-3. I'm going to give them that extra run just to give them the benefit.
All right, I had Ole Miss 4-3 to begin with, so I'm going to stick with that. I do think it's going to be a really, really close game. I think that Hunter has the ability, he showed it last weekend, to, hopefully we get 7 innings out of him. Brandon Johnson hasn't pitched since Miami, so there's no doubt that Brandon is going to come in tomorrow, in my mind, at some point. So I think he goes too strong and gets us through. And so I think we get the extra rest day, which I think is huge. And then we move on to Wednesday night. And at that point in time, it's, if we go 500 on Wednesday and Thursday, then, we're having a conversation that will be a lot of fun for a lot of people. Don't want to put the cart before the horse. But if we can win tomorrow night, things absolutely, the path becomes really, really good for Ole Miss. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that. No jinxing from the Rebel Walk, but hey, right now, the Rebs are hot. They're still hot. They're playing good baseball, and they're looking to move into the farther winners bracket and get more set up for one more win after that, and things are sitting pretty. Right now, it looks like Texas A&M might be facing Notre Dame tomorrow. Or not tomorrow, rather. I apologize. On what's today? Today's Sunday, right?
They face them on Tuesday. Yeah. Once Omaha starts, all your days just get all out of whack.
It's 5-0 Oklahoma in the 6th. The Golden Domes are running out of time in that one. Oklahoma is another scorching hot team right now, and they're looking really good on that side of the bracket. So very curious to see how that one goes down, if Notre Dame can make a run and come back late, or if they're going to be facing elimination. They've played pretty well facing elimination this year. They took out Tennessee up in Knoxville, so that game should be good between the Aggies and Notre Dame, should it end up being that way. We'll see. Still a few innings left to go, but Oklahoma in control right now.
Yeah, I've watched a lot of the other side of the bracket, but I don't really have I'm an SEC person, so I'm kind of rooting for A&M. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out the rest of the way. I just like the good baseball, and it's really, again, an awesome environment, and I encourage anybody that has the opportunity to come up here to do so.
I agree as well. I'm enjoying it so far. I've only been here for a few hours, and I've loved every second of it. But I'm definitely looking forward to tomorrow, getting to watch Ole Miss play up here in person, and also checking out, of course, the game before that, which will be – so Ole Miss has the late game tomorrow. Auburn will be playing against Stanford tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Ole Miss and Arkansas will play at 6 o'clock. Those are both Central times. And the Ole Miss game will be on ESPN2. I believe the other game will be on ESPN. I could be wrong on that. They might both be on ESPN2. I'm not 100% sure on that. But Ole Miss, for sure, is on ESPN2 tomorrow at 6 o'clock against Arkansas. Hunter Elliott will be going for Ole Miss. Arkansas has not announced their starter just yet. I presume it will be Hagen Smith, but we'll find that out for sure tomorrow. But, Chris, you said 4-3. I said 5-3. Either way, we're in the same ballpark. Literally and figuratively, we're in the same ballpark tomorrow, and I'm definitely looking forward to some more Omaha baseball. Man, I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, it's tremendous, and tomorrow is just going to be an awesome night. If you're not in Omaha, make sure you get in front of your TV. Get off work, get everything changed up, put your favorite Lucky socks on, those Dead Soxy Lucky socks, and we're going to get after it tomorrow night.
That's right, and thanks again to Lee McPherson and Remax of Orange Beach and Dead Soxy for jumping on board with us as sponsors. We're looking forward to working with them a lot more and hopefully adding more sponsors as well. And if you're interested in sponsoring the Rebel Walk, if you have any business, be sure to reach out to the Rebel Walk and to Evie, and she'll be happy to go over any details with you that you may need. But until then, guys, as usual, it's always a pleasure. Chris and I love bringing these shows to you. Thanks, Chris, for kind of carving out some time. I know you're still at the stadium, so glad we could get this show in, and hopefully we'll be talking about another Ole Miss W after tomorrow night.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to tomorrow, and hotty toddy, everybody.
Hotty toddy, guys. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. Have a great night and enjoy the rest of the games this evening.